Well, what can I say? It's very nice to see all of you, and it is my pleasure to be the host of Levy's yet another tournament, attempting to pursue his very first Grandmaster title. So I'm Artur Actions. Maybe somebody doesn't know, but I've been coaching Levy Rosman in the past couple of months, and yeah, that's why I'm here to guide you through his potential thought process, what happened in the previous training sessions, and of course, follow his games that he's playing right now in Spilimbergo in Italy. Uh, Before we start, I think it's a good idea to mention how this coverage is going to look like from the very beginning. Since this is the very first round, we're not entirely sure how to set up everything. So at least the very first round is gonna run with a 10-minute delay. This means everything that you are seeing right now that I'm saying already basically happened 10 minutes ago, including Levy's moves. So maybe from the viewer's perspective, it's not gonna make any difference, but it could be difficult for me to engage with the audience. Yeah, because there's a 10-minute delay, and everything you're writing or I'm responding, you're just hearing after 10 minutes. So that's why please understand that your opinion is very important to me. And from time to time, I will, of course, also select some questions from the chat. But yeah, like I already said, there will be a delay. Maybe starting tomorrow, we are going to find a way to change that. But obviously, it's due to the fair play reasons. All the games are delayed so that obviously nobody can get any external assistance, and that's why this is done. The games are about to start. Let me check first if they are there. No, not there yet. So Levy's first round opponent is Giulio Simoni, and shortly before the start of the round, Levy texted me, and there he is on the screen. He texted me, "What do you know about Giulio?" Because when we are doing some pre-round prep, he was expecting somebody else. I don't know what happened. Sometimes this happens that before the very first round, you can make speculations who is going to be your opponent. Because essentially, imagine this. There's, for example, 100 players in an open tournament. So this means the number one seeded player is going to play against the lowest seeded player of the first half. So the 100 players, they're divided in the groups of 50. And number one is going to face, if I'm not terribly wrong, number 50. Number two is going to face 51. Number three is going to face 52, etc., etc., etc. So you can pretty much guess who you are going to get by just looking at the starting screen, but you don't know the color. And sometimes there are players who do not arrive at the tournament. I mean, they pre-register, but for some reason they don't show up. And there could be many reasons, health-related or life-related, whatever. So Levy was preparing against somebody else. We do not know much about Giulio. I very quickly checked the database and gave Levy some information. Giulio is not very active. He has played overall about 50 games. He's rating about 2100. And he's playing basically once a year. So he's playing here in Spilimbergo once a year. Last year, 2 years ago. And before that, it was a long break. So his opponent is about 26, slightly younger than Levy. Not a very active player. I'm not really sure what kind of opening Levy is going to choose for the first round game. I think it's going to be ready. So I dropped him a couple of games from the database. Knight f3, d5, and g3. Or maybe Levy is going to meet it knight f3, g3, and c4. We are going to see. So there was basically no information. So he's just mainly chilling. What else? Levy's pretty tired at the moment because he arrived in Italy. When was this? Yesterday. Only yesterday. So I don't really know his flight schedule. He obviously resides in New York. Did he fly directly to Spilimbergo? I highly doubt it. Probably it was New York, Rome or something. I didn't really ask. But he arrived yesterday in the morning, European time, crossing at least 6 time zones. And he's pretty tired. I had a feeling that he will have some major jet lag. And this is what he brought him in the morning, that he's pretty tired. He was trying to take as much rest as he could, but this jet lag was pretty terrible. He managed to get some sleep. And those of you who have crossed the ocean, you know what it is. It's not easy. So for him, I think it's the most important thing to survive the first couple of days. So today, we have one game, which is about to start. Tomorrow, there's double round. So I think the first 2 days. First 2 days, he has to survive. Yeah, in the meantime, I'm seeing that delay is going through. So once again, in case from a technological standpoint, something doesn't quite work, I already apologize in advance. This is a new thing for us. And actually, I was there, at least in the Twitch chat, when Levy was playing in, which was this tournament? In Madrid. Yeah, we worked quite a bit. We worked quite a bit before the Madrid tournament. And I wasn't really providing commentary at the time. I was also very busy. And we didn't really talk about it before that. So I decided to join the chat. And from time to time, there you go. There are the opponents. There's the opponent who arrives at the board. They shake hands. And that's why I decided to join the chat. And I was providing some insights, some questions from the audience. Some people would ask me, am I the coach? Yeah, I'm the coach. Once again, to confirm, that's me. We've been working together for the last couple of months. And then for the next tournament in New York, when he was playing this I Am Norm tournament, you remember, right? He got something 25, 26 rating points, or did not remember, maybe less. He asked me actually if I could do the commentary for that tournament. But I had other commitments. I could not do it because in case somebody is following other tournament coverages, I had promised I will go to Switzerland in Biel, providing official coverage for Biel Chess Festival. And Levy tried to talk me into doing the commentary, but I said, no, listen, I can't do it. And then after the tournament, after the New York tournament, he asked if he should play in the next one. And yeah, I basically said, it's your call. But he was pretty tired. He decided not to do it. And basically, around that time, I said, listen, I'm available for August, right? So that's how all of this started. But the one thing you don't know, I'm not really sure if Levy has said this. I invited him to come to Riga. because I am right now in Riga, Latvia, which is one of the border countries next to the border of Russia. The hometown of the former world champion Michal Tal, the magician from Riga. I'm sure you have heard of the guy. And every August, we have a Riga Technical University Open, one of the strongest open tournaments in Europe. So something like 400 players are coming here. And when we started to cooperate, Levy asked me his advice where he should play. I mean, what do you think I was suggesting? Of course, I said, Levy, you have to come here. You have to come here to Riga, because not only it's a great tournament, I will be able to coach you on site. Before the games, after the games, brainstorm quite a bit. He was all for it. And we wanted to do this, but something happened. So probably I'm not going to go into details. So due to some real life commitments, Levy could not come. And actually, he was supposed to come to Riga Technical University Open in whichever year it was. I don't remember. Before he was a big time streamer, something like 2018, 2017 or 16 maybe even. I don't remember. He was supposed to come together with his very good friend Alexander Ostrovsky. But last minute, Levy got sick. I mean, he caught something really bad. So Alex came, Levy did not. And that's why, yeah, he said basically, oh yeah, I would love to come to Riga. You know, I haven't really been here ever. And I was originally planning to go here, but in the end, it did not materialize. And because he had some other commitments, so we found a different tournament. And Levy suggested he wants to go to Spilimbergo. So Spilimbergo, a couple of moves have been made. We are going to get the games. Maybe I'm just going to show you where it is. This is where it is. It's not very far from Venice. So maybe let me zoom out. There you go. This is European map. So maybe some of the Americans don't really know much about it. But this is Italy. This is the very famous Venice city. And Spilimbergo is located, how do you say, northeastern, next to the border. There it is, I believe. There's the small, where did it go? Yeah, there it is, Spilimbergo. Next to the, not very far from the border of Slovenia and Austria. And coincidentally, I was traveling the region last year. So I was taking a travel with my family. We would go all the way to Slovenia, then we crossed to Croatia, we would go to Pula, Trieste, we went to Venice. I did not go to Spilimbergo, but Spilimbergo is very, very close to that. So a very, very beautiful region. And this is the flyer of the tournament. As you can see, there's total prize fund of 8,000 euros, the 22nd edition of the festival. And the winner is going to walk away with 1,500. Of course, all of this is really important, etc. But the main thing is, Levy has very good chances to fight for the GM norm. Because in the tournament, I didn't really count, there's at least 10 Grandmasters. And you have to face at least 3 and perform really well. So there's the official the regulations, as you can see. Originally, the games were supposed to start at 4 p.m. local time. But apparently, it started half an hour later. And tomorrow, as you can see, 9:30 and 3:30 p.m. is going to be round 2 and 3. All right. Now let's go back and see what has been done in the game. Yeah, by the way, I'm already seeing you have a lot of comments. Let me see if I can select some random question. Yeah, for example, Rolf is asking, so Levy can get a GM norm in this game? What are the conditions for it? All right. So the conditions are really simple. You need to play at least 3 Grandmasters out of the 9 games. You need to perform well, so you probably want to beat some of them. And you need to perform at the ELO performance of 2600. So it's going to be really tough. But one of the most important prerequisites to start is to beat the lower rated opponents. And that's how it goes. So Levy in this tournament, he's seeded number, I didn't really check it, something 50th or lower than that. So this means at the very beginning, he's going to get low rated opponents. Like in this round, he gets Giulio Simoni, who is rated 2100, if he beats him. Next round, he's going to get 2200, probably about that range. And I would imagine starting round 3 or so, if Levy is going with a perfect score, he is going to be technically the ELO underdog against somebody really strong. So that's why it's very important that you start the tournament with the victories. Okay, let me select another question. Yeah, hello everybody, of course. Appreciate your kind words. In case you missed it, once again, it's in the title. For today, at least for today, we have 10-minute delay. So this means it will be a bit difficult for me to respond to your questions, to your insights in real life, in real time, but I'm going to do my best, okay? All right, let's check first what happened in the game. Knight f3 is played. This is actually part of my influence, because at the very beginning when we started to work, Levy was mainly an English player, and he had all kinds of ideas what to play in openings. I did say at the very beginning, listen, Levy, those openings, okay, they're pretty important, of course, but don't overdo them, because the games will be decided in the middle game anyway. But I noticed one thing, is that he doesn't play the ready. He plays English opening, he plays some e4, d4, but he doesn't play the ready. And I suggested, listen, you should give it a try. And he tried it, and he said, wow, yeah, this is a really, really nice system. There's a lot of ways to improvise. And ever since, he has been playing quite a bit of the ready. And practice quite a bit. Not all the games you're even aware of, but he has practiced it quite a bit. So the point is, you play knight f3, you want to play most like g3, bishop g2, short castle, and see what happens. But also you have the chance to transpose to some of the other systems. So his opponent played b6. You know, I have no idea what this is. So let me check what the Chess.com system says. Ready opening queenside fianchetto variation, whatever. You know, I think you can play against this whatever you want. You can play d4, you can play c4, you can play b3, you can play g3. So black is not really fighting for the center. So that's why here Levy played c4. And I like this because he wants to play something like knight c3 and fight for the central squares, not yet revealing all of his cards. c5, okay, makes perfect sense. Trying to combat the center. Knight c3, bishop b7, and e3. I think that Levy is just improvising right here, because we worked some systems, and these were not the ones. This was something else, and I think we looked at some similar lines where white plays d4, white plays knight e4. For example, black plays knight f6, you play f3, e4, bishop e3. The so-called Marozzi bind. But Levy plays something else, which is completely fine. I mean, he wants to play d4. He wants to take the center, and then if black recaptures on d4, capture the pawn and see what happens. So e6 was played, d4 was Levy's choice. And here, I think that black should play c takes, and try to combat the center. Yeah, by the way, I believe also the games that you are getting on Levy's channel, you can use !tournament. It's gonna get you to the chess.com events page. All of those games, I believe, I haven't checked it, are on a 10-minute delay anyway. So, everything is synchronized, the video, the board. The only thing is you're getting it with a small delay. As again, I already said, there's nothing I can do about it. Maybe for tomorrow, we're going to find a way around it. Today, there was no time around it. So, bear with me. And I just enjoy how Levy is yet again attempting to get the GM norm. All right, let me see what else you're writing there. Again, like I already said, it's going to be pretty difficult for me to communicate with the chat because of this delay. Why I'm not in RTU open? Well, I think the answer is pretty obvious. As soon as we started to talk about that Levy's going to play in Spilimbergo, I decided I will be doing the coverage not for Riga Technical University Open or even playing there, but doing the commentary for Levy instead. There's a very interesting question. So Vortex City OW is asking, would I say that teaching Levy, a very big content creator, has been significantly different than teaching any other player? I like this question. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a very big challenge because, you know, it just amazes me how he manages to do all of this. I mean, he is content creator 24/7. While doing this, Levy has to find time to practice because it's not enough. You show up for tournaments and you get the GM norm. You think it's possible like that? No, you need to practice. I mean, seriously, practice. And he is doing this. So it's not really so much our lessons. So he's working very hard himself on all kinds of things. And also, you do not need to forget that you're also a family man. Yeah, this is one of the hardest things. I mean, I still very clearly remember, who was this? I think it was Maksudlu, Arkham Maksudlu, one of the top Iranian grandmasters, who said once in an interview, you know, I'm working on chess 14 hours a day. 14 hours a day. And when he married, he said, okay, now I'm working only 10 hours a day. How about that? Anyway, it's really tough. And even sometimes we communicate. Levy sometimes disappears. And I totally get it. Since the very beginning, I told him that most likely for you to succeed, to get the GM title, you will have to make a sacrifice. And with sacrifice, I meant probably you will have to say no to some of the things that you're doing. So for the moment, I think what he's trying to do, he's trying to make it work, everything at the same time. We'll see. I hope it's going to work for him. But if, let's say, after some months, he's going to see that the progress, pardon my cough, something against the throat. So if we are going to see in something like several months that his progress is a bit slow, maybe he is going to have to, you know, rearrange his priorities. Because he really, he wants the GM title. It's not just for the content. Yeah, there was a question why I'm not playing in Riga Tech in University Open. I already said that. I'm here doing the coverage for Levy. What else? What else? Did Levy get a GM norm for the last tournament win? Kale is asking. You probably refer to the New York IM norm tournament. No, Levy has no IM norms. But ever since we started to cooperate, Levy has gained about 50 rating points. So he was about 23. Now he is about 23. Not actually about, exactly 2370. And one of the requirements to become a Grandmaster, actually I could just name all of the requirements. You need to get the 3 GM norms, meaning you have to perform 3 times at a rating of 2600, which is insane. And then the fourth and final requirement is you have to get at least once to 2500 ELO. Like even live doesn't matter. You have to cross the threshold at some point. And right now Levy is 2370. He has gained about 50 points, but he still needs 130 points. So maybe this rating actually will be much more difficult to accomplish than the norms. So that's why every tournament, every game matters. So for example, like in Madrid, like in New York, Levy did not get the GM norms, but he got the rating. See, so he's getting closer to this threshold of 2500. All right, what do we have here on the board? So, by the way, I also want to mention is that the pace is going to be pretty slow. Not only because of the delay. The time control is 90 minutes for the entire game and plus 30 seconds per every made move. So this means, on average, a game could last 4 hours. So here Black played c takes on d4. Yeah, engine marks this as an exclamation mark. You know, this is something I don't really like about chess.com evaluations. I've done quite a bit of commentaries. And sometimes this engine just gives out exclamation mark for no good reason. And the reason is this is the only move. Meaning everything else is much worse. And you're probably wondering, I mean, what are you talking about? How is this the only move? There's definitely more, right? Well, yes and no. Because, for example, if you play something like knight f6, one of the core ideas in these positions, you want to play d5. You want to imprison the bishop. So let's say Black plays e takes, c takes, and Black plays something like d6. This is one of the dream positions for White. So White gains a lot of space. White plays a4. White plays knight e2, knight c4, applying pressure, applying pressure, applying pressure. The bishop on b7 is a pretty bad piece. It's staring at the pawn on d5. So that's why now you understand. Even though this is not really big theory, White wants to play d5, gain space, imprison the bishop. And that's why here engine says c takes on d4 is necessary, so that this idea d5 is not as strong. Bishop b4 was played. Omid Knight is asking, could I tell you what is the strategy that Levy is using to beat weaker opponents? There's no strategy. All I'm telling to Levy is that when you are playing against significantly weaker opponents, do not expect that they're going to self-destruct in 50 moves. So there was this one game that he was playing in New York, and I didn't really like how he was saying, you know, I mean, this guy, he's playing so good, you know, after the 15 moves, he has a pretty great position. And I was like, yeah, but what do you expect? Right? I mean, of course, these guys know to play well. And that's why I'm saying that you should not really pay so much attention to the opponent's rating and just play your best chess. Because if the guy is 2100, probably there's very good reason why he is not 23 or 24 or 25. This means he lacks something in the understanding of chess compared to Levy. We just don't know what it is. We don't know if it's worse opening prep. We don't know if he's not really good at endgames. Maybe he's calculating really bad. But normally, when you're playing against a significantly weaker opponent, there's something in his playing style that probably quite doesn't match up with yours. You don't know that yet. And that's why there's so many club-level players who are really good with opening theory. But for example, they get to the endgames, they collapse. Because it's a completely different world. And that's why I said to Levy, just chill, you know, don't overdo things. When you're playing against 2100s, Try not to, refute their openings in 5 moves. Just play chess. So bishop d3 was played. I like this move. And here the point is, black is kind of threatening to take on c3, but this is not a big deal. Levy says you can take on c3, and even though black doubles the pawns, white gets the 2 bishops. And this is where very often the stronger players, they show a better understanding of these positions. Because maybe from the club level's perspective, it seems, oh wait, this is a double pawn. This is really bad, I'm going to play queen c7, I'm going to play bishop a6, and I'm going to eat your pawn. So what you're going to do? Well, the stronger players, maybe they can actually sell the pawn on c4. And this is something also that weaker opponents quite often do not understand. They're like thinking, I'm going to try to win the pawn, and I'm doing great. But it's difficult for them to understand that maybe the stronger player is actually willing to sacrifice the pawn on c4 to gain valuable time, open up position, and gain initiative. Chess is a very complex game. What do you want me to tell you? So white has nice bishops, strong center, and I think black's attempts to try to win the pawn on c4, they're just very slow. So queen c7 engine marks as a mistake. Here Levy is the move. He takes a power sip. I think he has a couple of good moves, like short castle, rook e1. I'm wondering if there's a possibility to even push d5. Like, follow the same idea. To play d5, to block the bishop, and sacrifice the pawn. So let's say you play e takes on d5, and I thought I could get a very nice initiative, like short castle. Let's say you grab another pawn. I give you a check. You play knight e7, and I play, bishop g5, or bishop a3, even this. And suddenly you start to see there's something terribly wrong with black's development. So you play knight c6, what about bishop a3? How do you deal with this pin? How about knight g5, queen h5? So this looks really fantastic. Just a second. Let me boot up the YouTube chat because I'm not getting YouTube chat for the moment. Give me a moment. You're gonna have to enjoy me watching full screen. I apologize about that. I just don't want you to see what I'm doing. Just a second. I need to find this link and pop it out. All right. I think I got it. Just a second. Just a second. All right. Seems to be working. By the way, I did not really announce it at the very beginning, but this is Levy's very first stream on YouTube. I did not really realize this before he announced it, because when we talked about doing the coverage for the Italian Open, I thought we were going to do it only on Twitch. So I would like to give a shout out to all of the YouTube fans who are out there. At the moment, I'm counting 8,000 viewers live. Absolutely insane number. Of course, more than 4,000 on Twitch. So I will try to get some insights from time to time from the chat, some questions. But again, please bear with me. We have the 10-minute delay today, so the response is going to be a bit difficult today. So Levy played Shook Castle. It's a good move. You know, because I talked with him quite a bit. Those of you who have been following some of our training sessions, I believe you can get all of them on Patreon. How many of you, by the way, you have subscribed to the Patreon? I got to confess, I'm not one of them. You know, I don't know what is there. I should check it out, read some comments, maybe engage with the audience. I do not know. I haven't had a chance. So this is Levy's project, and I haven't even peeked what's happening there. But yeah, what I was saying, one of the first topics we talked with Levy, do not overdo things. Do not overcomplicate. And I'm wondering if he was considering this right here. Because d5 is a very responsible move. I mean, okay, you get it. The idea is either e takes on d5, should castle, maybe black plays d takes on c4, or knight e7 and rook e1 and knight c6, the bishop a3. It feels really good. But at the same time, you also have to like understand what happens if black says no. For example, if black plays something like knight a6, try to get the knight on c5. So you play your short castle, knight f6. Let's say you play bishop a3, try to keep the king in the center. Black plays knight c5. Now what? Suddenly black is establishing a very good blockade in the center. And you can weaken your pawns for basically no reason. So that's why I'm pretty sure that Levy was considering d5. He felt it's rather risky. It was definitely under his radar. Try to imprison the bishop, open up d4 square for the knight. But he just decided, okay, I'm going to simply continue developing. All right, let me get a question. What about d5 for black instead of c takes on d4? Gideon Fulton is asking. You mean here? Yeah, this was a question earlier. I think it's a bit weird move. You are getting a symmetrical structure, but because of this bishop on b7, I think you are going to be suffering because of c takes on d5. Now the point is, after c takes on d5, let's say you play e takes on d5, this check would be very annoying. How do you deal with this? You play knight c6, I'm going to play knight e5. You play rook c8, I'm going to play queen a4. There's some massive problems. Queen a7 might be even a move. For example, you go here, how about I take on a7? You cannot take it. That's a pin. I take it and win the game. And if you also play something like bishop c6, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not saying this is losing, but it just feels very bad. Maybe just take it, and take on c5. Win the pawn. So that's why this was not played by the opponent. And now after the short castle, Black is trying to figure out how to continue. Let me select another question. Scroll down a bit. Wizard Lizard, very interesting username, is asking, is this tournament for a GM norm or just a farm rating? We're gonna see. Maybe he can do both. In the ideal scenario, Levy could get his very first GM norm here and get tons of rating. If he does that, perfect. We're gonna see. So let me check another. What do I think is Levy's strength? Lucky Cat is asking on YouTube. I think that Levy is a very gifted player in general. But throughout these years, he has been a bit having some psychological issues by playing against nominally stronger opponents. And this is something he has said himself. So I don't know what I did. We had a lot of discussions with Levy about how to approach games, how to treat the opponents, how to believe in himself. And I think, okay, maybe there was something that I said, but I think it was mainly also the very good start in the Madrid tournament that gave Levy the wings, because he really needs to beat grandmasters on a regular basis to believe he can get a grandmaster title. So what I was essentially saying to him over and over and over is that we grandmasters, we are just human beings. Even Magnus Carlsen is just a human being. We just know the game a bit better. But it doesn't mean we are immune to mistakes. So don't give your opponent too much respect. And in order to become a grandmaster, you'll simply have to beat them. There's no way around it. And this is, I think, one of the main reasons why Levy is playing in Tata Tuesdays. As he said a couple of times, this is his world, the small world he's living right now, because, I mean, he's obviously producing content day and night and doing all kinds of other things. So for him to beat a grandmaster, even if it's Tata Tuesday, it's very important for the confidence. And that's why you can only imagine what it meant to him to beat Hans Niemann. What it probably meant to him, although it was some time ago, to beat Hikaru Nakamura. So he beats these players over and over and over. It adds up to the confidence. And I think those 2 years ago, I think it was year 2022, when he quit playing professional chess, his psychology was really at all-time low. But he is right now in a much better shape. Again, like I already said, I don't even think this has so much to do with me. It's just like maybe this feeling that he's working on chess, that he has the coach who is telling him probably the right things. Also, the fact that he was able to start with a bang, right? Immediately beat a couple of grandmasters at the very beginning of the very first tournament after his return to the competitive chess. All of this combined to, like, not only in confidence, but super confidence. And I would be the one who would say to him, Levy, calm down. Calm down, right? It's again very important not to go from the total denial to the very absolute. I try to keep it on the ground. But right now I believe Levy's just asleep. Because in case you just joined us, Levy has a major jet lag. He arrived. Not sure what was that actually. He arrived in Italy only yesterday morning, and he tried to have some proper sleep, but crossing 6 time zones is not easy. So for him, the most important thing is to survive. A couple of moves can be made. Should castle a d6. Makes perfect sense. Black tries to close this long diagonal. Maybe play knight e7, knight f6, show castle. Rook e1 is an easy move. Hinting at d5. And I think that right now, Giulio has to decide, how does he combat the d5 push? For example, black plays knight f6. Is he afraid of the d5 push, or is he not? That's a big question. I mean, I want to hit the pawn. So if you play e5, it feels pretty great, right? Because I'm going to play knight e7, knight c5, show castle. You got weak pawns, I have the center and whatnot. But the king is in the center. I could play moves like knight e4. You see, you cannot take the rook is pinning the king. You go here. I'm not sure. It could be knight b5, hitting the queen and the pawn. It could be bishop a3, hitting the pawn. It could be some sort of, I'm not sure, maybe bishop h7, queen h5, rook e3 stuff. Okay, you see the bar disagrees. The bar says, get out of there. This is ridiculous. But you have to understand, Giulio doesn't know all of that. So he is concerned about the d5 push. So, for example, yeah, knight f6, by the way, was just played. I was thinking maybe he was considering knight e7. Could be different problems. Again, I think it could be some d5. And something is just asking to be played. Maybe knight g5, hitting the pawn. Maybe queen h5, hitting the pawn. Let's say you castle, and I just do something really bad, like knight h7, like bishop h6. Oh, sorry. G takes an h6. How about a mate on the board? So that's why here black played knight f6. And I think d5 has got to be the move. So d5, if, and that's a big if black defends and plays e5, I was thinking knight e4. Knight e5, knight f5 ideas. Also, there's this idea I didn't even mention. I was thinking about bishop g5. Looks just very, very tempting. If you take it, I take it here. I give you a check. Black is toast. That's a mate on the board. This is a pretty easy checkmate. So there's even this move, bishop g5. And after knight e7, there could be knight f5. Looks pretty scary. But to be honest, I like this knight b5 a bit more. Knight b5, keep the queen, bishop a3, knight e8, and something should be there. I'm not even sure what is it. Maybe some problems like queen h5, g6, remove the queen somewhere, a6. Looks pretty dangerous for black. So let's say you play some random move. I don't know, a5, knight a6, knight c5. That's a mate. You see the bishop, it helps you quite a bit. Apart from that, I'm not really sure what Levy else can do. Okay, maybe there's bishop g5. Black is going to play knight e7. Then what? Then what? I mean, you need to come up with something. And one of the things we have started to talk about in our training sessions is the so-called pawn play. Very often for you to succeed, you need to use the pawns to generate targets. Levy knows this, of course. I mean, come on, he's an international master. He's a very good player. Just maybe a bit below the GM level at the moment, but he is there, he's getting there. And understanding the pawn play is, in my eyes, one of the most important concepts. And I think this is what he has to understand. If he is not going to use the pawns, then there's a fair chance that his position will run out of active moves. And actually the pawn on c4 will become a target. Let's say, let me just show you what I mean with this. Let's say bishop g5, knight e7. Let me just make some random moves. I don't know, queen d2, rook c1. So where's your plan? Black could play bishop a6. Now what? Now that pawn is becoming a big weakness. You go here. I play rook c8. Now what? You play knight e2. So even though this position might be still okay for white, you can sense that white has been a bit slow. And one of the strongest features of title players is the ability to think ahead. Because especially when it comes to international masters and grandmasters, we're not just thinking about one move. We're thinking about how my position is going to look like in 5 moves. Do I like this position? That's why for Levy here, it's not about how to develop pieces. You're maybe wondering, I mean, how difficult it is to make a move. Just play bishop g5. You know, you threaten, take on f6, make a window for the king with h3 or something. No, it's much deeper than that. So I'm pretty sure that he's thinking about d5. And he's trying to understand what happens after e5, knight e4. And also, he has to take into account that his opponent might sacrifice the pawn on e6. He might do it. For example, castles. Takes. And now the point is, let's say if you play rook e6, There could be knight e7, knight c5, knight g4. Black is pretty active. There could be some fancy ideas just to show you some funny stuff, like rook d6, queen d6, bishop h7, queen d6, you're winning the queen. But I think that this line could even be improved by continuing the same idea in knight d4. Just bringing another piece to hit opponent e6. So black is having some major problems. Okay, maybe he can still sacrifice and play something like knight e7, knight e6, queen c6, hit with a mate on g2, and f3, rook e8, knight e5, knight c5. He has some compensation. But the way I'm looking at this, Levy's got to push d5. I saw a question on YouTube chat. Have we worked on this kind of position? No, we have not. The problem is there's literally millions, billions of positions to work. This is not one of them. And I'm wondering if Levy will have any positional concerns of playing d5, because the drawbacks are pretty obvious. He's weakening the c5 square. But he probably senses the king is in the center. So what do we call this position? It's a very concrete position. Concrete positions require concrete solutions. All right, let me get more questions. Let me scroll down a bit. Friend of the trees on Twitch is asking, Levy's already +2. He's barely out of the opening. I mean, what do you want me to say? But this is what happens when you neglect the center, you play b6. You know, I classify all of the openings in 3 parts. I basically invented it. Probably somebody reinvented before me. Doesn't matter. So how I classify openings. First type of openings, you're fighting for the center. Why? You have to. I mean, imagine this, you're playing football or soccer, as Americans are saying, and you're not controlling the middle of the field. I mean, what do you expect? What good is going to come out of that if you don't control the middle of the field? So from the middle of the field, the so-called center, you have the chances to organize an attack, and you are much faster to go back to the defense. So the logic says you have to fight for the center. So that's why approach number 1 is you're fighting for the center. There's many center-based openings. E4, E5, D4, D5, C4, C5, C4, E5, etc. Those are openings number 1. Second type of openings is you don't really take the center, but you fight against it. Like the Grunfeld. Like, I don't know, maybe Queen's Indian defense, Dutch defense, Sicilian defense, French defense. So you're like allowing your opponent to take the center. You're like, okay, you can take it, but I'm going to combat it. I'm going to try to disrupt it. It's a very powerful strategy. And the engines, of course, still going to favor the center, the space advantage, but it's a strategy. Then there's the approach number 3. Ignore the center whatsoever. And this is a very, very bad strategy. That's why answering the very big answer to this question, how come white is doing really so great after the opening? This is not a good opening. I mean, black is neglecting the center. Black is neglecting space advantage. Although technically he might fall into second category, is that he is not fighting for the center, but he's trying to disrupt it. But this border is very narrow. So you might easily fall into category number 3. You don't control the center. You have no space. You're doing bad. That's how it works. D5 is on the board. I just saw it. For some reason, yeah, there it is on the camera. Of course. I think Levy has never seen this type of position before, and it's completely normal. Because you never prepare against b6 first move. Let me select another question. Let me scroll a bit. Lovely Latvian accent. Thank you. Marty is saying, and somebody else said it. Thank you. You know, actually, I speak 4 languages. Latvian is my native language. Russian is my second. English is only third. So, okay, maybe right now English already is the second language because I've had a chance to practice it quite a bit. And I could talk with Levy in Russian because he speaks Russian. I believe his native language is Russian. We could talk in Russian, but we never do. And the 4th language I can speak, but not really so well, is German. And the 5th one is French, but okay, that's Duolingo level. So yeah, I mean, I'm speaking in English, and I suppose the Latvian accent sometimes is coming out. There's nothing I can do about it. Hope at least it's good. E5 is on the board. I think knight e4 has got to follow. Bishop g5 looks very tempting. Maybe there's some scenario when he can sacrifice the piece on e5, but I don't really see why. Like, could be some moments when he could play something like bishop f4, when he could play bishop e5, he could play f4. But, you know, I have this very funny saying, and I have a knack for very odd names when it comes to explaining some stuff. And that is no funny business in a great position. So why are you doing this? There's no need. When you're doing great, don't complicate, play simple chess. There's even actually a rule in chess. Maybe not many people know this. But when you evaluate the position, for example, you're sitting here with white or black, and you're thinking, I'm doing really great. What do you have to do? What's the goal? You try to clarify. You try to clarify the situation. Why? Because you want to get a position that you can play by hand. Easy execute moves that lead to a large advantage, and maybe the large advantage leads to extra material. Knight e4 is on the board. When you're doing badly, what do you have to do? You have to complicate as much as you can, because you're doing badly anyway. And that's why sometimes there are players who don't understand this, and even in very bad positions, they try to make the perfect moves. But I mean, if your position is really bad, the perfect defense already doesn't exist. And here's the trick. Do you understand that you're doing badly? Sometimes it's not so obvious. I'm not really sure if Giulio is aware that he's doing badly. Because in his eyes, if he's going to get a knight on c5 and fend off the attack, he's doing great. But he's wrong. Let me select another question. Jazzo on YouTube is asking, why is Levy not talking to the chat? Does he hate you? No, he loves you. He loves you. And the reason is he is organizing this coverage for you so that you can follow his games. He even hired me so that I can do coverage. I can explain his thought process. Because if you were around when he was playing in Madrid, actually it was a very unique moment. I was one of them, one of the viewers in the chat. And on Twitch we had 20,000 people who were watching Levy playing critical games with no audio and no commentary. And Levy also was very pleasantly surprised. At least I'd like to believe so. Oh, and there goes the video. Oh no. The Wi-Fi died maybe. Hope it comes back. Oh, there it is. So, before the start of the round, Levy said to me, yeah, you know, I'm not really sure if the video is going to really work. So I'm going to connect to this sports hall Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi, you know, in Italy, you never really know how it's going to work. It might be good, might be bad. As you can see, it's buffering from time to time. And I said, why don't you get this, one of the eSIMs? One of the data packages, and maybe he's going to do it for tomorrow. We'll see. So at the moment, we are at the mercy of the local Wi-Fi. Not sure really if it's going to hold, but if not, you're going to have to survive my personality, as there's not going to be no video. All right. Victory Dance is asking a question. What's the fastest way to get better at chess? Being very patient and studying chess as much as you can. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way. I think also one of the main reasons why we're doing this, we love the game. We're somehow thrilled by those million and billion possibilities that chess provides. I mean, can you imagine this? Chess has been around for centuries, and yet no human being has been able to master it to perfection. The best chess players in the world, like Magnus Carlsen, like Ding Liren, the current world champion, like Hikaru Nakamura, they're just human beings. And they commit mistakes from time to time. So for example, right now, no human being has a chance against an engine in a match. Okay, maybe a human being could beat an engine in a single game. Yeah, this can happen. There you go. There goes the video again. But the understanding of chess has evolved dramatically. All right. So show castle is played. Now black is threatened to take on d4. I think that here Levy has bishop g5 or knight b5. I really like this knight b5. So it might be a pretty tricky line to calculate. Like knight b5, get a queen and a pawn. Oh, sorry, not queen d7, of course. I think it's going to be queen d8. The bishop a3, hit a pawn again. Knight e8. And now the question, how to organize the attack at the king's side, because a6 is incoming and a6 traps the knight. He has no way to retreat. Could be pretty interesting. Maybe there's also some room for some craziness, like at the right moment, like rook e5. Something like this. But probably not just yet. So I think this is going to be the critical position. And white needs to do something pretty quickly. Maybe I'm thinking, how about f4? With the idea to meet a6 with knight e6 and f takes on e5. This looks pretty bad for black. If you go away, I could maybe take it and play something like e6. Yeah, this is looking really terrible for black. So maybe black would take it. And now this gives me some ideas to sacrifice on e8. Maybe start with queen g4. You play a6. Now there's two ideas like knight e6 and queen f4. Looks borderline winning. And the second idea I'm thinking is rook e8. Rook e8, knight e6, rook e7. How do you say goodbye in Italian? I knew the word, but I forgot. So the rook is under attack. There's a checkmate on g7. I wanted to say ciao amigo, but it doesn't sound right. It was ciao babano or something. I don't remember. I do not speak Italian, so I wouldn't know. So once again, this looks very tempting. Knight b5. Bishop a3. And f4. Easy moves. Nothing special. The pawn is under attack. I suppose you have to take it. I mean, this looks just very bad. Maybe could be a million reasons why it's bad. Like take, here, try to win a mate, sacrifice it. King h8 is rook e3, rook h3. Not sure, 96. 3 pawns for the piece on a very strong attack, underdeveloped pieces. At the queen side for black, my understanding is that black is lost. All right, yeah, I see that the video started to suffer big time. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. This is the public Wi-Fi from Spillenberg or whatever is the playing area. I'm not really sure. Levy said it's some sort of a sports hall. So at least I hope for tomorrow we're gonna fix it. Yeah, it keeps buffering and buffering. Yeah, let me select another question. I have to show off my t-shirt. It looks great. I don't know. You like it? I suppose it's pretty okay. When I told today that I'm gonna be doing commentary for a huge audience, my wife said I had to wear something really fancy. So I decided to wear this t-shirt. Let me select another question. Can you tell us about the trophies in your background? Diego is asking on YouTube chat. Yeah, I can do that. Those are my trophies I won in my career. Those are mine, they're real. This is not a wallpaper. I can guarantee you this. I could even lift one of them if you want, but okay, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, mainly just to show off. I have it in the background. Let me see what else you're writing there. Obsidian Skies saying it's hilarious how honest I am, contrasted with Levy's sarcasm. Yeah, but you know, actually, the impression I've got working with Levy, he's very humble. He's very humble. You know, I wasn't really sure what to expect when we started to work, but at least in real life, he is very, very humble. He's not, you know, sarcasming left and right. So we have a very easy communication. So nice to communicate. Imagine Julius watching the stream afterwards. I think he is gonna do it because this is what I'm sorry, I didn't remember his name already. In round 7, the guy he lost to in Madrid, he said that he and his roommate, they're actually pretty big fans of Gotham chess. So I would imagine if you're getting a massive audience following your game and there's an expert who is doing the coverage, you would be pretty interested to hear what he had to say about your play after the game, wouldn't you? Right? But I'm never saying anything bad about any opponent. Giulio just played a bad opening. So he's doing what he can. By the way, Nabi Fa was just played by Levy. And I think that Levy is getting exactly the same position with Queen D8, Bishop A3 out of 4. This looks crushing. There's another question. Laurie JD is asking on Twitch. Do I coach Levy in between these tournaments? I do. We worked a lot in May and June. July was a bit quiet because I was in Switzerland. I was doing commentary for Billiard Chess Festival, and Levy was playing in New York, but we kept in touch from time to time, and we didn't really have so many lessons in July. So mostly Levy was working himself, but I was throwing at him some homework. And actually it was pretty funny because I created one homework based on one of his games against, what was his name? Logan, was it Logan? Logan Brain? Was it? I'm sorry, I don't remember. His last name was Brain. And in his game recap, Levy said that he doesn't understand the position. And I thought, okay, this is an interesting topic to talk about, So I created homework, and I asked Levy to solve some of the positions very similar to that pawn structure. And guess what Levy does? He arrives to the next session, and he says, this is easy. This is very easy, this is easy, this is easy. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue that some of the examples were pretty easy, but I just wanted to explain the concept a bit more clearly. So what I did, next time, I gave him really, really hard lessons. Not lessons, but really hard examples. I'm not sure he did them. I have to check it because I was traveling out to Switzerland with my family for a week. We spent some very nice time in Prague, and Levy was in the meantime doing some other stuff, so that at least there's some progress. I gave to him this insane homework. So I'm not really sure if he has done it. Just because he said the previous examples were easy. Queen d7, that's a move I didn't expect. I'm not sure what it changes. So I could still play bishop a3, hit a pawn, knight e8, and I still play f4. What does it matter? Looks the same. Again, the idea is a6, knight e6, f takes on e5, looks crushing. Or maybe take it, same ideas, again, rook e8, maybe, okay, maybe now there's no queen g4. How about I just play queen of 3? You play a6. Again, rook e8 is a move with knight e6, or maybe just knight e6, queen of 4, rook d8. Game over. I think he's going to do it. So bishop h3, f4. The question is, does Levy see f4? But it's a very easy move. Finally the chat picked up my Italian words. Arrivederci. Ciao, arrivederci. Yeah, when you play bishop a3, f4, you say arrivederci. I should actually also learn some Italian. I watched the video. Was it the recap or the tournament announcement? Whoa, f4 immediately. That's a weird move. Why not bishop a3? Why f4? Just because the bishop protects it. Anyway, what I was saying is that Levy was doing this recap or something because I watch all of his videos, every single one of them. It's my job. I have to hear what he says. And in one of the videos, I think that's the one when he announced that he's going to play in Spilimbergo, he was showing off some of his knowledge in the Italian language. I don't like this move. Do you know why? Black can sacrifice the pawn. takes, and play something like knight a6. Okay, white has a pawn, but it's not yet a win. And that's why I think it was so important to start with bishop a3. Hit the pawn. Force black. I think you have to play. You have to play knight e8. You have no other means to protect the pawn on d6. I mean, it's incoming. You have to play knight e8, and now you play f4. Open up the e file. And now you play, I don't know, queen f3 or whatever. Knight e6. I think this was pretty easy. So e4 is most likely the response for black. Maybe e4, bishop e4, and something like knight a6. I mean, definitely white is better, but not winning. Like bishop f3, knight c5, bishop e3, a6, knight e4, knight c6, whatever. The game continues. But of course, black has to pick up the e4 move. Well, this is what I talked with Levy. That at any level, players keep missing positional sacrifices from the opponent. This is something that he still needs to master. When you are including moves like f4 as your candidate moves, sometimes this, there you go, there's the blunder. I believe this is a blunder, right? Knight e6 is just killing. Okay, black immediately collapsed here. Makes no sense. And then you tend to miss sacrifices, positional sacrifices from your opponent. It's like, it's very easy to convince yourself after f4, my opponent has to take, I'm gonna go here, I open up my position, I'm doing great. Listen to this. He cannot play e4 because I just win the pawn. And you move on. And then he has to play rook e8. I'm going to take, I'm going to do whatever. I'm doing great. So quite often the problem is in the mindset that it's difficult for many players, not only for Levy, to recognize a positional pawn sacrifice for the opponent. So I think Levy is slightly rushed here, and he automatically excluded e4 as a move, which I think black had to do. So it was a very difficult moment, actually. So here, he had to understand that black had to sacrifice a pawn with e4, and instead he had to pick up that it should be him who is sacrificing the pawn to get a lot of activity. So Giulio forgave this mistake, but this is going to be a lesson to Levy, because a stronger player is not going to miss it. And of course, knight e6 is on the board. Thank you, chess.com, for the double exclam move, but it was pretty obvious that knight e6 is incoming. Now the point is queen d6, bishop e3, arrivederci. This is going to be a quick game. All right, let me select a question. When's the last time Levy's coach played the tournament? Alien01 is asking. Funny that you should ask it, because I was playing in June French Team Chess Championships, and I got to play none other among the opponents but Hans Niemann. So it was actually pretty funny. I mean, I played a terrible game and Hans played a brilliant game. So I lost without, it was a beating really. I lost without a fight. And after the game, Hans posted a YouTube video. What was the title? I already don't remember. I think it was something like how I destroyed Gotham Chess Coach. So me and Levy, we had a laugh about it. Okay, whatever, it's content, it's fun. No hard feelings. But it was really awkward later when it was Levy who beat Hans Niemann in a title Tuesday game. So that was like I got you, coach. I got revenge for you. So this was my last tournament, French Team Chess Championships. I played a rather mediocre tournament. My next one is going to be World Chess Olympiad for Team Latvia, top board, next month in September in Budapest. So I hope to play some very good opponents. I imagine top board is going to be world-class players. There's a question on YouTube by Ismail. How long do I think it will take Levy to get the GM title? Well, I suppose nobody knows. I would say probably the fastest 2 years. 2 years. I think this is the fastest. Like, if everything goes well, if he works very hard, and he does work very hard, he's going to take his chances playing a lot of tournaments. He's going to have bad tournaments. Totally. I mean, you can't avoid it. So, probably there's going to be some setbacks as well. They always happen. Dramatic, painful losses. You want to quit chess, never come back. Yeah, it happens. But I hope that there are not going to be too many of them, of those moments. So 2 years. I would estimate 2 years, maybe 3. And Levy himself is perfectly ready for this. He knows this is going to be a long journey. So that's why, that's why it was very surprising for us, for Levy, for me, that the very first tournament he started to play in Madrid, he was actually fighting for the GM norm. That was a big surprise to us. And Levy was surprised the most. So that was very important. Let me select another question. Um, How long is the delay? Delay is 10 minutes. Let me see some newer questions. What is my favorite opening for black? Probably Dutch defense. I'm quite a bit expert of the Dutch defense. Released a chessable course on it this year. New course is in the making. So if there's anybody in the chat who has enjoyed the Dutch defense, I know, what do I say? Hey, bro, how are you feeling? It's good not to be alone. There's not so many Dutch defense players. All right, queen h3. Yeah, I mean, this is just terrible for black now. Queen c5, bishop b3, queen h3. Levy's gonna win this like in the next 15 minutes. I think so. E takes on f6 looks just crushing. Two bishops, exposed king. So something like queen takes on c3. As they say, use your imagination. Like, take it here, bishop d4, hit the queen, queen c4. I mean, there's definitely a mate somewhere. Like, take it, queen h5. Black is going to have a lot of painful things in a lot of places, so it's just bad. And if black doesn't do that, g6. White already is up 2 pawns. There's another one if you want, but I think there's already a mate somewhere. Maybe just even play bishop d4, queen d2, queen h6, rook e3, rook h3. Levy would win this. What? Oh, it's already over. I just got the result. It seems there's a resignation coming. I just got the result from the board that Levy apparently has already won his game. Let's just wait for the confirmation. Yeah, poor Julio. There's no moves incoming after queen a3. So the board says that Levy has won his game. For some reason, I do not have it yet. That's pretty weird. It means there's a longer delay. Just a second. Let me check it. In a moment, I'm a bit surprised, to be honest. Whoa. What is that? Well, it appears that the game indeed is over. Let me check. Because apparently the camera is covered. There was a delay. Apparently I had to refresh the window. And now it's just not giving me any info. Let me check it on the phone. Just a second. Just a second. Let me check this. I missed the moment when the game actually ended. Shame on me. But there was a delay on the video. I did not know that. I'm gonna check now the official results. Not there yet. Not there yet. Just a second. I mean, I assume it's over. That was really weird. All right, I'm gonna get back to you about if this game is really finished. It seems to be. That was very quick and painless. Exactly the kind of win that Levy needed. Right. Okay. So maybe we can just check very quickly what happened this game. So if I'm getting the correct information, then this game is finished. Levy starts. Let me once again refresh this thing. Just a second, let me refresh this thing. And see. No, it seems that the feed is completely dead. All right, so what happened here is that Levy's opponent, Giulio Simoni, played a rather weird opening. So Levy immediately got the center. He played bishop d3. And this entire sequence of d6 and knight f6 was immediately punished by d5. Maybe black already had to sacrifice the pawn. And after the e5, knight e4 was a brilliant move by Gotham chess here. Should castle knight b5. And I did like bishop a3 a bit more. Because after f4, I think the black had to sacrifice the pawn with e4. And this is something I'm going to say to Levy definitely after the game. That he has to be more mindful to his opponent's counter chances. But instead, the opponent immediately blundered with a6. I'm not even sure what he missed. Because knight e6 always was the idea. Knight e6, f takes on e5, bishop e3. And apparently that's it. That's it, folks. So clock is still running. Let's just wait until we have our confirmation, but if indeed this is the case, the perfect way for Levy to start the tournament, not to take too much energy. And tomorrow, by the way, is going to be a very big day. Probably one of the most difficult days. Because at the moment, Levy has a major jet lag. He arrived in Italy only yesterday. He had some sleep. He's not feeling really so well. So, yeah, unfortunately, the camera is not working. I cannot confirm this game is over. Although, I mean, the position looks completely crushing here. All right. In the meantime, let me answer some questions. Yeah, there's always, every stream, somebody's asking some recommendations. what books to read, what courses to study. I suppose head over to Chesley and check it out yourself. There's a lot of very good courses. Who is coaching the coach? Jürgen Meyer is asking. Nobody's coaching the coach. Krusa Radic on Twitch is asking, how did Levy decide on me on coach? Actually, I talked about this on the Perpetual Chess podcast. One of the recent episodes, I think it was released in June. You should check it out. I'll talk about all kinds of things, how we cooperate with Levy. So that was released 2 months ago. In the meantime, I'm gonna verify. I have no verification yet. Nothing yet. Yeah, it seems that Levy has won. All right. Let me select one more final question. Yeah. Resignation indeed happened. The camera feed is dead. All right, listen. Then we are wrapping up the coverage. That was a short day, actually. I was expecting a longer day, but it's really nice. Really nice. So tomorrow we'll be back at, so let me check. What time was this? 9:30 Central European Summer Time. There's going to be round 2. Most likely Levy will be playing with black against a much more higher rated opponent. So for the Americans, it's going to be really tough. I hope you're going to find possibilities to follow Levy. Maybe it's midnight for you, I don't know. For Europeans, it's going to be a bit easier. But tomorrow there's 2 games. So the first game is 9:30 Central European Summertime, and the other one is 3:30. I'm not sure yet about the delay for tomorrow. I would love to have no delay. I would love to have to speak to you in real time, but you have to understand this is done due to the fair play reasons. So that somebody is not very unhappy that Levy has access, for example, not access, but technically, he could go and check it out, what we are analyzing there. Of course, he's never going to do it. But maybe they're going to do us the coverage with no delay. We'll see. I would love to do that. And also, hopefully, we can get a better internet from the playing venue, because this one was buffering a bit, and I didn't really know that we're a bit behind on the actual video. And then when I tried to refresh the window, the game already was finished. We didn't see the resignation, unfortunately, on the camera. So I would like to thank all of you. So a huge shout out to all of the regular Twitch followers. We peaked today at 5,000. Also on YouTube, I see we are right now at 12,700 something. So a total of almost 18,000 players following Levy's first round game. This is very, very nice. It means a lot. And I'm saying goodbye for today. So find a time to come back tomorrow. I'm Grandmaster to Nations. I'm coaching Levy. I'm his coach. In case somebody missed it, Levy just won his very first game. More games coming tomorrow. In the meantime, I wish to all of you a great evening or middle of the day or wherever you are. And be good. Come back tomorrow. And as Levy usually says,